Greg.
Blake's got
Hello,
a dino
everyone.
hand.
Why do hummingbirds hum, Greg?
They buzz.
Hey, it's me, Alf.
Because they don't know the words. Oh my God, Alf! I'm such a big fan.
Hey, how's it going,
Oh
Dinosaur?
God. This is what Douglas is
I
gonna be the
don't
whole
have any
show
of
from
this. I feel
Douglas
left
now.
out again.
Gonna be Douglas with Alf or Douglas with Kermit, which is probably what's about to happen here.
Oh, hey, I just really like dinosaurs.
Oh my God! Special guest Kermit the Frog. Who knew? No one knew.
I'm your great-great-great-great-grandfather, Kermit.
Sydney Seymour.
Apparently, I need a puppet now. I don't have one.
I mean, it's weird you don't, because we love puppets.
They're tools
Yeah,
and props.
I just don't have a puppet. I just don't have one.
I can't
None.
express myself without my dinosaur hand puppet. Yeah, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Retail Therapy. We have a very special episode for you today. Not only is it E6, we're in the middle of like a huge, massive showcase of cavalcade of exclusive interviews, trailers, and stuff like that. We have more exclusiveness for you right now. We are joined by Josh and Douglas of Limited Run Games. And we are here today to talk about retro gaming collections, gaming memorabilia, all of the stuff that we love to collect. Obviously, you guys, big collectors yourselves, which is partially what inspired you guys to create Limited Run Games, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Collect way too many things. It's a bit of a curse.
Yes. I mean, I definitely feel that. I live in a tiny apartment, and I'm just wall-to-wall things that I don't necessarily need to exist or survive, but
Yep.
I can't
Yep.
stop collecting them. So let me introduce my co-host, Rodney Condors Jr. You may know him from the Wide World of Electronic Sports that airs Mondays, every Monday, basically, here on our Twitch channel. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Even better now. Ready to talk collectibles. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. And then, of course, Greg Burkleton Burke, the video jerk.
Hello.
Keeping it live on the ones and twos, running the broadcast today. Greg, thank you for being here and for running the live stream today. Well, I run away to go see and meet Weird Al later. But
Oh wow, you're seeing Weird Al today, huh?
so I watched him last night.
Little.
Doing the meet and greet tonight.
Oh, nice.
To Weird Al. It is.
So do you get to meet Emo as well?
I hope so.
Emo Phillips is great.
Yeah. Emo crushed it last night as the opening act. It was great.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and it's like this whole tour is just nothing but original, like Weird Al original. It's style parodies rather than like his song parody.
Nice.
Yeah, but so yeah, let's start showing some stuff off. I got something cool to show off here. This is one of my favorite things. This is a Final Fantasy figure.
Ooh.
That it happens to be autographed by Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yes. A long time ago at the Game Developers Conference, they were, I think, releasing the games on mobile, something like that. There was some sort of re-release going on, so we had a sit-down interview. And at the end of the interview, he's like, "Oh, who's your favorite Final Fantasy character?" I was like, "Cecil, man." And they're just like busted this out, autographed it on the site. Later that night, they had a party. And they were giving out Chocobo plushies, and he autographed a bunch of Chocobo plushies as well for us.
Nice.
But
Man, parties,
those are, like, banging in the
conventions.
closet.
You're taking me back to
Yeah.
a different time.
Dude, he drew a butthole on one of the Chocobos
Wow.
that he autographed. Yeah, we were like hanging out and like doing tequila shots that night and stuff like that. It was really cool, man. Like, because Japanese developers usually like they're very reserved. You don't like socialize with them a lot or anything like that. So it's like a really, really nice treat, you know. And yeah, of course I've held on to this ever since then. Probably get buried with it. But yeah, I'm very stoked off of this. Yeah, that's one piece to start it off. Let's see, I have a few other autograph things here.
I'll be sipping on my ridiculously oversized soda here. I'm sorry.
Oh no!
Big gulps, huh?
No.
Well, see you later.
Stay
Cheers, friends.
stay hydrated. It's good. So here is my copy of Tekken 3 autographed by Harada-san. Yeah, there was a Bandai Namco press event, and I knew he was going to be there. And he was kind enough. We didn't even have an interview scheduled or anything like that, but the PR let me get this autograph. I love Tekken. Tekken's my favorite fighting game ever.
Same.
That's right, Rob. We both share a passion for Tekken. So
I appreciate that you think ahead when you meet developers and you actually bring things for them to sign. There's so many times where Douglas and I will get to meet someone and we'll think right before the meeting, we should have brought something to have this person sign.
Like
And-
Suzuki.
Yeah, when we met Yu Suzuki at E3, and I just had to scramble, and I was like, do I have anything even remotely Sega related here that he could sign? And somebody from Retrobit had just dropped off some Genesis controllers, and I was just like, this is all I have. This is all, whatever, I'll have him sign this Genesis controller.
that's awesome, though. That's freaking rad. Is that in a case somewhere?
Yes, yeah.
Genetically skilled.
Yeah, and I got something that is a lot more appropriate for him to have signed down the road. I actually just recently got it from one of my employees, so I'll show that off later. That's in my pile of stuff to show off. I don't want to spoil it.
Nice. And then Monster Hunter World. My copy of Monster Hunter World autographed by the producers. Right here. This I got at the last E3, or no, the next to last E3.
Second to last E3.
I think it was the last E3. I think it was the last E3. in
That was
person
2019.
ever, actually. Yeah. This is the one where we had everyone jump the shark at the end of E3.
Ah.
Yeah.
I can show off a very cherished autograph that I own. It's a Douglas Bogart autograph right here.
Whoa.
The most valuable and expensive autograph that I have.
You're welcome.
Douglas Bogart himself.
Is that a chase card in your new
Yeah,
booster boxes?
So that was in our hobby boxes. There's an autograph card in each one, and the one that I pulled out of the promo room had Douglas in it. And I was like, that's great because I don't want my own signature.
Yeah. There you go.
I have some autographs art somewhere.
Yeah. So the nice thing about this Monster Hunter one, I don't know if I can get it in there, but they drew one of them drew a Palico
Aw.
on the cover there for me. It's very sweet of them. It's a really nice interview. And then my homie Suda51 hooked it up. I got my autographed copy of No More Heroes right here.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Suda.
Duda.
Oh, dude, I've also got an autographed copy of Lollipop Chainsaw, which is one of my favorite Suda51 games ever. But this No More Hero, the autographed No More Heroes, though, I had to get it done.
Yeah, I have at home I have an autographed silver case that we did with him on PC, and then I think a copy of No More Heroes 1 and 2 signed by him.
Yeah. When you went to Japan, I had you bring my PS1 copy of Silver Case for him to sign.
Oh yeah,
So that was one of the few times we've actually been prepared where I'm like, I know he's meeting a developer. I'm going to send this thing with him.
Nice. Yeah, and like you said, that you guys actually you put out some physical copies.
I also at a party at PAX introduced him to Long Island iced teas, and then he was out after that.
Yeah, we brought him to our party, our E3 party, and we got to be homies after that, sort of,
Yeah, he definitely likes letting loose.
Yeah. He's very cool. We actually have an exclusive interview with him tomorrow as part of our big content. And man, talking to that guy is so great. He's got.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you. I was surprised at the bond Douglas had formed with him. We were at GDC 5 years ago or something, and Suda's in the elevator across from us at our hotel, and he jumps out as the door's closing to give Douglas a hug. And I was like, wow, that must make you feel really good that Suda likes you enough to jump out of an elevator that's about to go up and give you a hug.
Yeah, it was.
That's how I know you've made it.
And that, yeah, I mean, he's definitely a lot more Western, which is nice because I've learned that Japanese people tend to not want to hug, or it's just a cultural thing. But it seems like him and Sweary will hug. I would say definitely that when they let loose and start drinking, they start to hug. But I guess that's the only way. Like I had a chance encounter with Ayanuma-san from Zelda. At a party once, and that was the only time I got to like talk to him and stuff because I feel like he had his guard down because he had been drinking. I felt confident enough to approach him.
A little liquid courage.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, no, the Japanese developers, especially ones from like your childhood or like iconic series, they definitely have this like a stoic mysticism about them almost, I've never been nervous about like approaching like a Western developer or anything like that, but I think the one time I like totally had like celebrity shock is like I was walking towards the E3 and like Miyamoto and his like posse are just like walking by and you just like look and you get the nod, like he knows that you know who he is, and you're just like, I can't even approach the guy though.
Mm-hmm. That's how at E3 I was walking by the PlayStation Gear booth and Kojima was in there and I was like, I asked the security guy, could I say hi to Kojima? And he said, absolutely not. And they shooed me away. And Kojima saw me get shooed away and pushed them out of the way to say hi to me. And I was like, wow, that's like a really like humbling thing for him to do. Like he went out of his way because he knew somebody just wanted to like, say hi to him. So that was really cool because I never thought that would happen. Because I as soon as they shooed me away, I was like, well, that makes sense.
And I remember being watched by him at a press event for, I think, Metal Gear 3. Like, they threw it, they brought him out to San Francisco, and like, we're playing there, and they're showing off like some of the multiplayer stuff. And like, trying to play a Metal Gear game while Kojima is watching you, it doesn't work out. Like, you're just gonna play badly. Like, I was way too nervous.
I came close to Miyamoto once. He had no idea who I was, but I got to go in the VIP area at Nintendo's booth. I was there with Todd Howard, just name dropping or whatever. But so I'm sitting there watching him play Breath of the Wild because they were trying to do like a demo to him, and I found it more fascinating to watch Miyamoto eat a cookie. He was like across, like maybe like 10 feet away from me, just eating a cookie at their table. And there was something fascinating about watching this guy that's like legendary just sit there and eat a cookie. It's like totally normal. He's just eating a cookie, but it's Miyamoto eating a cookie. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm watching Miyamoto eat a cookie. This is crazy.
Yeah. I met Ed Boon once from Mortal Kombat. I didn't even know I met him. We were in the elevator, and I think he was either heading up or down. I can't remember. And we were just talking about steak. Like, just, hey, yeah, how do you like your steak done? And then after that, I got off the elevator, and the dude was like, dude, you know who that was? I'm like, not just some random dude who likes steaks. Like, dude, that was Ed Boon, the guy in charge of Mortal Kombat and Injustice. Nice. I'm like, oops. I probably should have introduced my...
Right?
What'd you say?
He didn't say well done, right?
No, he did not.
Thank God. Yeah, he's cool still.
Yeah, he's still... Yeah.
The amount of the level of celebrity in the video game industry and journalism is a lot different than other cultures and level of celebrities like Miyamoto. Like, I remember being in the Nintendo booth, like, with Miyamoto, and he, like, brushed up on me, and we were like, he brushed me! Like, one of that stupid fanboy shit that you do.
I'll never wash this arm again! I'll never wash it again!
Yeah, meanwhile, like, some real movie stars probably walking by somewhere, and you don't even care. It's like, whatever.
Yep. I've been there.
That's me at events. I used to do a lot of step and repeats, and I'd meet a lot of actors and celebrities and directors, but like I'd always be like, oh, that's the writer for this game, or that's the director of this game, that's the creative director for this game, and I always get more excited to see them. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Vin Diesel's right there. I'm like, I don't care. That guy wrote Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
One time, oh man, this one time it was so embarrassing. Like, I went to say hi to Randy Pitchford, and I interrupted a conversation between him and Matt Groening. Like, I did not even notice Matt Groening until after I like said something to Randy, and I was like, oh god. Like, I'm just gonna crawl my way out of this one.
Did Matt have a huge beard? Usually that's the giveaways.
Yeah.
His beard.
It was Matt Groening. Like, I didn't look in his direction at first, And like, yeah, then I just felt really awkward about it.
You should have known from his eye patch, right? He's got an eye patch. And usually walks around with a shotgun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a bottle of booze.
Yeah.
Yeah. His NRA forever tattoos on his knuckles. Man, so yeah, this is like, I don't know. This was my my holy grail for a while. I've been looking to find this virtual boy.
Oh my goodness.
Was like out of box because I was gonna take it out of the box. I tend to not worry too much about the mint box thing. I just want to be able to like use it and interact with it. And it like saves me a ton of money, frankly. Like I've been seeing this going for like close to $800 boxed, and I've seen it a few times, but yeah, I was at Experience Game Share in Alameda, which is like a new retro retail store.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually buying a 3DO because they had a like 3DO for like $150. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna get that. And I'd mentioned that I've been looking for a Virtual Boy, and he said I got one. And I said, are you willing to hold on to it for me for a month, and I'll bring you cash for it? He was, and I finally got it like a month later. And like I'd been searching for one of these for years. It was like a big gap in my Nintendo collection.
Nice.
You know, I have the NES, the SNES, 64, GameCube. You know, basically now I'm just missing a Wii U.
I was super lucky, and when I don't really want to. This isn't really lucky, you know. It's lucky in the sense now, like hindsight, lucky. But my parents would not buy me any like new cutting edge systems or whatever. They were like, "You've got a Nintendo. You don't need anything else. You don't need a Sega. You don't need a Super Nintendo or whatever." But you know, I grew up where that Alameda area, Pleasanton. You know, I was from Danville. And we were like a test market for all of these companies. Like Atari would test market their crappy there. Nintendo would do it as well because it was near San Francisco. So the stores were like overstocked with failure game systems like Jaguar and Virtual Boy and 32X. So those would go on sale at like KB Toys, and they would have this like pyramid of them, and they'd be $20 new or whatever. I could convince my mom to do that. I was like, it's $20. It's a game system. It'll entertain me or whatever. So I managed to get a Virtual Boy for $20 at the KB at Stonebridge Mall.
Oh God, KB Toys. Oh, we're dating ourselves.
Yeah, KB Toys.
Man, the KB Toys in the Sun Valley Mall was not as cool, apparently. Man, goddamn.
I passed on a Jaguar though. I remember there was a stack of Jaguars as well that were on sale, and I didn't buy one of those, and I ended up regretting that years later.
You're like, those are amazing, and what were they, like $500 or something? They were ridiculously expensive. My parents were like, hell no, that's $400.
But when they cleared them out, they were like $20. The same thing. It's like that's how I paid $10 for my 32X, and that was in box. I got that with Star Wars Arcade for like $20 total, all in. And I remember, I ended up, my dad didn't want to help me hook it up, so I ended up sitting there, like, spending, like, 5 hours trying to get it attached to the Genesis, because it had these stupid metal things to hold the flap down on the Genesis. And I could not figure out how to put those things in as a kid. And I only found out years later that you don't actually need those stupid things. Like,
oh, damn.
Like, they're not required for the functionality, so I wasted, like, 5 years of my most valuable, or 5 hours of my most valuable years, 5 years, trying to 5 hours of my childhood just down the drain trying to put these stupid metal shields in.
I got my 32X right here. I actually just picked one up recently, like about half a year ago. So finally got that. Man, I actually got a really good deal on like the original Genesis with the like bottom Sega CD, like not the one that goes on the side. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I was in Canton, Ohio, at a store called The Exchange, and they had the set together. They had it priced for $150, and I was like, okay, I'll grab that. I'm doing the transaction, and like one of the store clerks like runs up, panicked, and he's like, no, wait, we can't sell that to you. They priced it wrong, and like he was like, yeah, and like manager, he was getting like chewed out by the management. That's right, Osif, Canton, Ohio, home of Lola the Pomp, CEO of Shacknews, as well as Shacknews luminary Osif Khan, and Long Reads editor David O. At any rate, I digress. Like, yeah, the dude was like flipping out, like he was gonna get fired over this. So I'm like, it's cool, dude. I'll just, leave it be. I won't buy it. Thanks anyway. And the next day, Oscar gets a call from the managers and like, you know what, you were so cool about it. We want to give it to you for that $150 price point anyway.
Oh wow.
I was like, all right, sweet. That's really cool of you guys. Thank you. And now it's skyrocketed in price since then.
And I like the Model 1 Sega CD more because the Model 2 doesn't actually have there's no way to really secure the disc in it, so you can just hear the disc wobbling, while you're playing it, because it's more like, it's got this thing that's supposed to hold it in place from the top lid, but you can just hear the disc wobbling in there, and that just can't be good. That can't be good for the disc.
No. I just the Sega CD was so mind blowing to me when it came out as a kid. It was phenomenal. It had that little it had a bunch of music videos that they compiled using some sort of, I don't know, key art stuff, just very throwaway. And it was one of the first times I'd heard Jimi Hendrix. It had a few Jimi Hendrix songs on there, and it blew my mind. It's also how I got into Information Society. Was on that disc, and then
just the rock and roll sampler disc or whatever that they had with the thing.
Oh, I remember those. You used to get little demos. They would have some of them have multiple games on there. They'd have little 2-minute things you could play. Those were rad. You could get them in GamePro magazine too. I remember those.
Yep. I ended up getting some cool Game Boy Colors as a kid. I for some reason, when the Game Boy Color in Advance just splashed onto the scene. I guess it's not an odd reason that every kid in the world had one. Just about.
You mean a Game Boy Color like this, Rod?
So yes, I have. So my parents bought me the lime green one and the translucent purple one, but in a weird, strange series of events, I ended up getting the Pikachu one, the yellow with the blue and red buttons, and I also have the gold and silver one, the all gold one, and I think it has a Pichu on it and an unknown or something. And I ended up getting those out of a basketball game on the blacktop. This kid thought I couldn't beat him or something. I think he thought I was not good. I'm all I do is play basketball in video games. It's 2003. What are you doing? And he was yeah, I'll play you. And I beat him, and he gave me his Game Boy Color. He was a man of his word.
Wow.
Brod's if it's 2003, what are you doing? I'm graduating high school because I'm old.
Oh, all right. Well,
I got my Sega Saturn in a somewhat, I wouldn't say it's completely similar, but I didn't pay for it. There was a kid in my neighborhood and he wanted to get rid of it, and I managed to trade him some it was 3 Pokemon cards for it. I think I traded 3 Jungle Hollows. Nothing at the time that I was oh yeah, I can't live without these Pokemon cards. There's probably Wigglytuff and Vileplume or something. It's I don't need these. Whatever. I'll take a Sega Saturn instead of these. Now in hindsight, I think maybe he got the better deal because those things are probably worth a lot more now than the Sega Saturn.
Especially the Wigglytuff for sure.
But it felt like a win to me at the time because I was oh, I'm getting a Sega Saturn. He's just getting 3 Pokemon cards. And for a while, Pokemon card value kind of collapsed. So, nobody really cared. But, hindsight, that's one of those things.
I think I have that card you're talking about too. Let me see.
Nice.
I actually, I just got a Sega Saturn last year, which was another big get for me. Basically Sega Saturn and a Virtual Boy were 2 things I was hunting down for a long time.
Oh, you've got it. Yep.
That's the one.
Yep. That's one of the ones I traded.
That's the one.
Well, if you still got that Saturn, maybe Rod will trade you back.
I got the Saturn still. I'm not getting rid of it.
Yeah,
I love my Saturn now.
Fair
speaking of Saturn, here's one I just wanted to show this because I love this is one of my favorite games.
God.
For the Saturn.
Wasn't it the Disposable Assassin or something? What's the headline?
Oh yeah, Scud.
Yeah, Scud the Disposable Assassin.
There you go.
This is originally a comic book by Rob Schraub and Dan Harmon that they independently published. And it's my favorite comic book of all time. I own a shit ton of autographed copies of it. I have an autographed Scud figure that I bought off Rob Schraub's eBay site. Big fanboy. So I have owned this for over a decade before I actually got a Sega Saturn.
Oh, now you can play it.
Yeah, and then I also recently discovered that they made a PC game as well, and I ended up buying that. Like, well, the thing now that I'm focusing on with my retro collection, like basically from the NES era up, trying to collect all the superhero games.
Ah, that's
So,
cool.
like, I think Scud falls under there, and you know,
Comic Zone.
You know, Comic Zone was like not a comic book; it was just like made. I think I own a copy of Comic Zone, but I don't know. Like,
It's a superhero game though.
Yeah, I'm talking more like X-Men, G.I. Joe,
Superman
Trans-
64.
yeah, Superman 64. It's part of it, but not the best part.
I mean,
probably the worst
they got
part.
they got a good Superman game, Death and Return of Superman or whatever. You know, the Sunsoft
that.
game
Yeah, for
made
the
by
NES or the SNES.
Synapse. You know,
Yeah.
the Blizzard before they were Blizzard.
Yeah, I've got that. I've got Maximum Carnage with the red cartridge. That's actually
that's the one. That's the one.
I'll grab
boss.
that right now. That's actually here on my shelf.
That's the one, man. That's the one. I love that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, I used to play that nonstop and Captain America and the Avengers. on
Yep.
Super Nintendo.
Oh, I've also got here. Actually, I got a bunch of my superhero.
I mean, meanwhile, you know,
titles right here.
me with my NES, because I couldn't replace it until a lot later. You know, I was playing Wolverine on the NES, hating my life,
Oh man,
convincing
That game.
convincing
that game,
myself that it was good somehow.
It was LJN. I remember that game. I was like, why am I taking damage? I want my claws out. I just want my claws out all the time.
I was gonna ask Josh. When we were growing up, I remember you always had to buy your consoles. But how did your brother always have consoles?
He saved up. He saved up for the SNES, and then he saved up for his N64. He was better at saving money than I was. I was terrible at it. So
Wasn't
like,
that he didn't get them
Well,
for
you're
free,
kids,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know, like the
I didn't-
value. Yeah.
Here we go.
yeah, I don't know. My brother was just really good at saving money, but I couldn't do it until when I discovered eBay and I could and I was like, I can sell stuff that I have and make money that way. This was like '99. I had Beanie Babies, and I was like, I was trading in that currency of Beanie Babies. I sold Righty and Lefty, which had just retired, for like $400. That paid for
Oh
my
my
Dreamcast.
Oh,
I got my Dreamcast. I got Sonic Adventure, Blue Stinger, Power Stone, and a VMU.
Nice.
Slept on Soul Calibur. I ended up correcting that mistake like a month later.
Yeah, you had
Oh,
Power
man.
Stone in there. You're fine. You checked
Yeah.
off the box. You're good.
Here's
Yeah.
that Maximum cartridge or Carnage
Nice.
cartridge. Talking about that red, it was so cool. I also still have the cassette single, the green Jello cassette single that you got for like pre-ordering Maximum
Oh, wow.
Carnage or whatever. Yeah, it had Rock and Roll Pumpkin and Carnage Rules
oh,
on it, and then I love that they had the like chiptunes version of Carnage Rules like in the game. I always thought that was really dope, interesting crossover thing. And then I found a few of the other superhero games I got for the SNES. Spider-Man Separation Anxiety.
That's
Not
another
as
really
not
good
as
Not as good.
I don't like that one as much as Maximum Carnage. I think like the sprites are too big. Yeah, it's a little bit slow, but it's still
It's a
good.
little rough, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The Incredible Hulk. This one, honestly, I think this one's underrated. X-Men Mutant Apocalypse.
Yeah, that one's good. That's Capcom.
Yeah, this is a really great, like, side-scrolling action one. Way better than Spider-Man X-Men, which was
Yeah, well,
like,
that's LJN, right? That's Spider-Man X-Men Arcade's Revenge or something, right? Like,
yeah,
Oh
think
yeah, that
so,
was
yeah.
weird. It was like a bunch of different mini game level. Like every character played slightly differently as like a new mini game. That one was hard. The Gambit level was
Josh.
impossible.
I think you were talking about the Captain America and the Avengers game.
that was Douglas. Yeah,
Oh, Doug, sorry.
We're the same.
Yeah, got that.
I was talking about Wolverine on NES, which
Oh.
I wouldn't fault you for not having that in your stack there.
Dude, I got it. It's over there with my NES stuff. My
I'm
NES
sorry.
stuff's over there.
That
It's like-
one and Uncanny X-Men on NES, those can just let's just pretend they don't exist.
I have them both in my collection. Yes, I'm trying to be thorough about it. I have a ton. I have most of the Batman games.
I
with
just
the NES, SNES, and Genesis as well.
I just bought a complete in box Adventures of Batman and Robin for SNES, and that hurt because it was
Ooh.
really expensive. But I'm trying to collect everything from Konami, and it's not cheap. But I feel like I have to do it. I'm like on a quest.
I feel that it's weird because you get to a point where you're like, I'm only gonna look for very niche specific things, right? Like, that game, The Adventures of Batman and Robin. That's something I'm definitely like on the hunt for, but I'm just not ready to pay that much for it yet. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes you just gotta like kind of save up for certain items.
I think the Sega CD Adventures of Batman and Robin's expensive as well. I think, like, because it had like FMV sequences, like original animation that's like never used on the show.
One of the cliffhanger releases is expensive.
Oh yeah, Cliffhanger on NES. Why are we talking about Cliffhanger now? You just couldn't resist the urge to talk about Cliffhanger.
I found a lot of like good success at like events like DreamHack or like EGLX, or like really not one-off events, but like big gaming events that aren't like super big. Sometimes we'll do like a buy sell trade area, or like in a separate ballroom, and there's just a lot of just really weird and one-off stuff. Like I've seen like a lot of old school games. I even found like I bought this for my mom. I bought her the you guys remember the old show, The Big Comfy Couch? They had like a big play set. Yeah, and like my mom is more nostalgic about it than I am. You know, I mean, the show was for me, I guess, but she I bought her like the play set. I bought that at a video game event. I'm like, maybe this is the real fun here. I mean, yeah, you know, the production's that way, but the real fun is the hunting for old stuff.
I mean, I have two retro game stores like within 30 miles of both of me. Like Tony owns both of them, Gateway Games in Willits and Ukiah, and they have the biggest retro collection north of San Francisco. So if you need anything, send me a list. I'll stop by. He'd love to see. And he doesn't list a lot of stuff online because he wants people to come into the store. So if you ever guys need something, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter. I can go there and check. Or
just FaceTime me, Greg.
Every time Douglas and I travel, the first day that we travel somewhere, this is usually for like industry events or whatever, we will go to game stores around that area. So go to GDC, we go around, we do a circuit, you know, we go down to San Jose, like we go up to Concord first, we hit Alameda, then Concord, then we go down to San Jose and, you know, hit as many stores as we can. We just went to Vegas and we hit some stores there, and there were some good shops there. It was a good experience.
That's the cool thing about being in a small town with this retro game store, is they have their inventory doesn't move really quickly. Like he still has a sealed copy of Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo, like for sale. I think it's like $1,500 or something like that. It might be more now, but it's he still has that. Like it's crazy, you know.
And that's why I buy stuff out of box.
Right, opened, sealed. The big bucks is.
Like it's fancy to have something in a box, and I have a few things in a box, but they're not in great shape necessarily. I don't really worry about it.
There's something I just want to play, and I'm not necessarily trying to collect it. I'll buy just a cart, but usually if I end up like falling in love with it, I have to find a box.
I'm a snob now. I just like how it looks when you put all the game boxes up on the shelf, and you know, when you step back and look at all these boxed games on a shelf, that just gives me that feeling of being a kid at a game store again. And like I got hooked to it. I got hooked on just having to have those boxes up there. I don't know what it is about it. Like I can't get over it now.
Yeah, is that part of the reason why you guys opened like your physical store recently?
I mean, I would say that cynically, the reason that we opened this store is so that Douglas and I have a place to buy rare games, because, you know, we had no stores in our area, so we just wanted a store for ourselves. But I think the reality is that I just have always wanted to own a game shop. It's just like one of those things as a kid. I was like, you know, what would be the coolest thing I could do? You know, to own a game shop. Like that just seemed so cool to me as a kid. So I got kind of like hooked on that idea, and I couldn't shake it. So finally I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to open a game store. I'm at a good spot. Why not?
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys have a ton of like limited run games stuff in the store, but you guys also have some like pretty fancy like retro stuff as well, right?
Yeah, so we've got like a pre-owned section in the back, and originally that was seeded by like when I was just doing game development, I didn't pay myself. I made sure I was paying all my employees before I paid myself. So the only way I could survive was going to like thrift stores, pawn shops, places like that to find used games and resell them, because this was a possibility back in 2010. Like, you know, not like people were still, you know, selling games at, you know, good prices, and you could then go on and resell them. And I would keep the things I wanted, but then I would end up selling them if I got desperate down the road. But I had a lot of leftover stuff because when Limited Run took off, I didn't have to do that anymore. And I was like, thank God, because I hate selling on eBay. I hate it. I hate doing it. Like, that's like my last resort if I need to get rid of something.
There, yeah,
I will almost, like, this has happened multiple times. I will literally give things away to people in the office instead of sell it on eBay because I just don't want to deal with it. I don't like it. but I put all my games that I had left over just in storage, and they were sitting there for maybe like 5 years or whatever when this retail store idea came around, and I pulled them all out. So I seeded the pre-owned area with my leftover games from then, and it was crazy seeing like the prices that I had put on these things, because like the last place I ever sold games was an in-person event, an anime expo in like 2016 or something, and I had put like price stickers on them. So I had a complete in box Pokemon Fire Red, and I put a $75 price tag on it, $75. And at the time that was like it was high end for it because nobody bought it. But I was like repricing these things for the store, and it's like that thing sells for like $350 now.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's like
Fire Red had the wireless adapter.
Yeah, the wireless thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, one of our editors, Donovan, actually saw that in your in I think one of the videos they put out of the retail store, and he was commenting on that. He's a huge Pokemon fan.
I don't want to turn this into an interview. I'm just curious. You guys had that Turtles really cool collected edition, and you made a VHS tape for it. Like, how the hell? Like, where did you find someone to make a VHS tape in 2022?
So it's actually the VHS tape is just the box that the game and the thing go in, but it's the accurate size of a VHS tape. I wish I had my Chex Quest one around here. We did a Chex Quest press kit once, and there was a VHS tape size box in that, but it's accurate. It's a VHS tape size. The game and the steelbook go in that, and then there's a sleeve that goes over it, so the whole thing looks like an actual VHS tape.
Okay,
so
I thought it was an actual like working tape. I was like, who does that?
I mean, we did that for Night Trap. So for Night Trap, it came with a working VHS tape, and it was awesome. But I haven't had an opportunity to do a VHS tape, because the sad part about like, I can't just do one. I have to have content to actually put on the tape, and a lot of games just don't have the content to put on the tape. But doing Turtles was kind of a dream come true for me, and I loved those like FHE Turtles VHS tapes. Like I had so many of those as a kid. So when we got to do Turtles, I was like, what would immediately create a sense of nostalgia in me for that brand? And it was like, boom, VHS tape. So that's what we went with for our classic edition. And then the high-end one, I was like, I got to put an action figure in there. That's my number one thing I got to do. So I made that happen, and then everything else just fell into place.
Yeah, that Playmates figure, man. I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan. Like, I have a huge box of toys from when I was a kid still. Like, and I bought a lot of the Kid Robot stuff. Even bought like a Fugitoid prototype figure from Kevin Eastman's site.
Nice.
Like a little while ago, but like never had the Shredder figure. So like I knew I was gonna pre-order the collector's edition, like pretty much no matter what. But yeah, like now I've got that Shredder figure like for the collection, like in the Playmates. Probably never gonna open it. Like I'm gonna leave it in the box like a nerd. But yeah, the other thing I loved about the Pizza Hut tie-in was just so
oh my god,
freaking 90s, so brilliant.
That was really hard to make happen, and we almost gave up. Like we had actually done like a mock-up for like a fake coupon, because we were like, we gotta have a coupon even if it doesn't work, whatever. Like, because I was so determined to have a coupon, but I just like saw like an outcry on Twitter for it when like Cowabunga Collection didn't have one. Everyone was like, oh, this is stupid. And I was like, okay, this reignited my passion to actually make this happen, because I was trying. I'd actually sat down with Mike Micah from Digital Eclipse, and we were talking about how frustrated we were, with trying to find somebody at Pizza Hut to throw this idea in front of. But I was like, all right, screw this, whatever, I'm going to figure it out. And I sent emails to like 300 different people at Pizza Hut on LinkedIn. I was trying to make my LinkedIn premium membership, pay for itself or whatever. So all these people out of the blue got these emails about Ninja Turtles, and I finally found the right person, because they've got crazy titles at Pizza Hut. It's like, chief operating strategist of brand marketing.
Corporate
it's like,
titles, a bunch of VPs of whatever.
I can't figure out who's marketing what, because you got your like lead marketing, you got your marketing specialist, you got your marketing,
your licensing marketing
officer.
specialist,
Yeah, like none of this stuff makes sense. So I just had to like keep throwing it out there, and finally I found the guy who like organizes their live streams or whatever, and like turns out that's the guy that can make this happen. Like,
that's the guy. He was the one.
Apparently Pizza Hut streams on Twitch, and I never knew this, which is that's a new thing. You learn something new every day. T-Pain apparently comes on their streams and eats pizza and plays video games on the Pizza Hut stream. Didn't know this. Now I do.
Remember Domino's having like a lot of Turtles commercials. Domino's was the pizza place in the 80s, early 90s that had all the Turtles like advertisement. It was Domino's.
Domino's had the movie tie-in, so Domino's is in the movies, but Pizza Hut did the coming out of their shells tour. So like Pizza Hut and Domino's both had, you know, their turtle tie-ins or whatever.
Remember they had an X-Men one too for the animated series. And I've never eaten more pizza in my entire life to get all the comics and get all the special VHS tapes. They had like one episode on it, and you got it if you bought like a personal pan pizza combo thing. That's what I remember. It's the X-Men one.
My mom just would not buy Pizza Hut. I don't know what it was.
It's
like
terrible
we couldn't get her
you.
like ever order Pizza Hut, you know. So we were always like, you know,
All the time.
we were a round table pizza family. You know, that's where we got our pizza from. And I always thought that Round Table was the only place that put that little plastic table on the pizza, and that's why they were called that.
Yeah.
Like, but then I found out that, you know, that's a lot of other places that do that thing.
I just learned what that table was for. You're supposed
It's to make sure the box doesn't collapse.
I thought it was
Well,
just a
that,
tiny
like,
table to play with after you were done.
Someone,
Yes.
that's what I used it
It's so
for,
your
but
it's so your turtle figures can sit around and eat a little pizza at their own turtle-sized table.
apparently you can use it to hold the pizza to pull your slice off too, so you don't have to touch other pizza.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, somebody was
Interesting.
showing me that.
yeah.
Never knew that. I always just
Living
thought
in
it was
the
the box
future.
didn't cave in.
See, my
Yeah.
family was like more of a Pizza Hut type of spot. I couldn't get by Domino's to save my life. I don't know why.
Well,
I was like, can we just do Domino's once? And my dad is like, hell no, we're all
Oh,
the Pizza
that's
Hut.
a dad thing then, because my dad was the same way. He hated Domino's.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Just personal taste, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's paying for it, so you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Blake, do you have the Turtles games? Do you have on the Super Nintendo? Do you have Turtles in Time or Arcade on the NES?
I have
So-
those on the arcade cabinet.
There you
on
go,
the
yeah.
arcade one up.
I have the original Turtles arcade game for Super Nintendo. Turtles in Time is so damn expensive. Saddest thing ever. I once lent my games to a friend, my entire Super Nintendo collection, and then he lent them to another friend, and their basement flooded.
Oh,
Lost
wow.
my entire fucking collection.
Jeez.
And
Yeah.
like,
I used to lend this guy video games, you know, Dreamcast games, and they would come back. The case would be like crushed, destroyed, like, you know, never
fuck-
took any good care.
Screw that guy.
It was Douglas. Douglas was the
Oh.
guy. That was him.
My first Turtles game that I owned was Tournament Fighters on Super Nintendo. My dad would play it with me. And then we would rent Turtles in Time, and he'd always play as Donatello, because my dad's a scientist, and he was like, Donatello's a scientist. I don't know, it was corny.
Yeah, I only had the original Turtles on NES for a while. You know, that was my Turtles game until like '93 or so. And I could beat like the first level, and that's it. You know, you play as Donatello, and you just sit with your bow staff, poking down at Rocksteady until Rocksteady dies. Then you get to the next level, and you immediately die because that shit doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, that game was rough. That was a really rough game.
Yeah. My sister could get a lot further in it than I could. So like I'd watch her play until she got up to like, you know, the mines underwater where you're swimming around or whatever. Like she could get to that part. I finally though, like '93, got my mom to take me to a Funko Land, and I was able to pick up the Turtles arcade game there. And then, you know, I played that for a really long time until, you know, I think I fell out of Turtles fandom around the same time I think a lot of kids did, you know, when they started doing like Next Mutation and like
the rebranding,
start-
the reanimating.
yeah, you started
I
getting all the
remember-
really stupid figures where it's just like they're really reaching for like things to have the Turtles be, where it's like, you know, like I think one of the last ones I bought was probably like the sports ones where it's like, you know,
The football ones.
Donatello, yeah, he's like a quarterback or whatever. He's got like little stars and stripes
Yeah.
shorts on or something. I was like, I don't know, I think I'm done with this. On to Power Rangers now.
Yeah, I remember when we became friends in 6th grade, because I still had all my toys out, but I went to your house, you had mostly just Legos, you didn't have a lot of toys
Yeah.
out, and I remember being like, do you not have toys? And you were like, oh, no, follow me, and we went in your attic. And
Oh
you
yeah, I
had
had all this stuff up
all
there. But
the Turtles toys.
I also, you know, I've always been a Lego guy. Like that's my primary go-to toy as a kid. So, you know, I would put all my budget, you know, towards buying Lego sets. And I would end up with like the dumbest action figures as a result, because like I wasn't focusing on buying action figures. So, you know, the action figures I would get would be gifts from like family members, and they'd always be like the dumbest crap, like stuff that was like on clearance. Like, you know, I have like Hook action figures. You know, I've got Dustin Hoffman as Captain Hook. And it's like, who would want that toy? What kid was like, Yeah, I want Dustin Hoffman as
That's
Hook.
the one.
The
I need
parents try, they
I've-
try.
I don't know. I think it's worse for me because I have live action Super Mario toys. I have like the guys before they became Goombas. Like it's just a dude with a bad haircut toy.
Oh,
Why do I have this?
I feel like that's I made my parents take me to see that movie, and as an adult I feel bad for them because now I've got a kid and I'm like, thank God she doesn't like to go see movies, so she's not dragging me to like really bad ones, but man, I feel like that movie is probably why my parents wouldn't listen to me about taking me to movies anymore. Like,
Oh, they weren't
Like,
a
I
John
feel like-
Leguizamo Luigi fan.
no, that was probably the low point of having to see movies with me as a kid.
The second you're old enough to split off, that's what happened. You go see this movie, and we'll see this movie. We'll see Terms
Yeah,
of Endearment.
yeah.
You can
Parents
watch
would
this
do to
terrible
us.
80s kids movie.
And I distinctly remember ahead of the movie, I was at this department store that was in my hometown called McCall's, I think. It's still there, maybe. It's like a California chain or something.
Yeah.
But they had set up an entire department of their store to be Pogs. You know, this was that 3-month window where Pogs were
Oh,
cool. They had set up
Pogs!
display cases with Pogs. Like, they had a $25 Super Mario Brothers Pog. And I'm sitting there like dead set on getting this $25 Pog from the Super Mario Brothers movie. And I think I ended up walking out with like a John 3:16 slammer or something. Like,
Hell
I couldn't
yeah.
convince my mom couldn't convince her to drop the $25 for the Mario Pog, so I came
But
out with
it's
that metal.
Mario in Pog form.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I was like, it's this. She was probably like, oh, this is a Christian slammer or whatever. This is cool. Like, this is healthy.
Remember when I came back from Florida and I had all those like Christian toys, and you're like, where do you have all these?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you guys make Pogs, right?
We do make Pogs. That was me doing another passion thing where
They're
I'm like,
coming back.
this is so
He's gonna bring him
stupid.
back. He's gonna make him a thing
Nope.
again.
Nobody else is gonna do this, so why not me?
Nobody else.
When's the LRG Beanie Babies come
geez,
back?
I'm not letting that happen.
No,
Oh,
it's too hard, man. I mean,
You know, see, the thing
Funko's-
is, I would do it, but I don't know if that seems like a task.
My mom
That's
is really
in,
into Beanie Babies.
Oh wow.
You'd have to get people off the Funko Pop bandwagon. That's impossible at this point, I
Yeah.
think. Because that's what replaced. That's modern day Beanie Babies, Funko Pops.
Yes.
Yeah.
I say
Oh,
working with Josh and me and his friend definitely like ignites a collecting behavior. Like a lot of coworkers, especially, like they're like, "Oh, I'm a minimalist," and then like after a year working here, they get a free copy for our games. And suddenly they're like, "Oh, I'm buying all sorts of stuff." And we did the retail stores. Now it's worse. Even as a kid, like I remember he had a Saturn as a kid, and I wanted one. I don't know if you remember, Josh. I bought Knights. And with
Yeah.
the controller, and I had to play it at his house because I got in trouble on eBay as a kid, so I was banned from it. And I didn't actually get a Saturn until like 3 years ago. I had to buy one off JP, our other business development guy.
Yeah. I remember you got that Knights, and then you stayed over at my house for that weekend, basically trying to beat it, and you wouldn't
Yeah,
stop
we-
playing it. You were just kept going. Like, you're like, I'm not leaving until I beat this. I bought this game and I can't play it. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I remember
So-
we couldn't save the game for some reason because memory cards didn't work, or
I didn't have a memory card,
oh, that's
and
what it was.
I
you
didn't
couldn't
afford
afford one.
realize-
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the battery inside the Saturn was dead and could be easily changed. It's the same battery that was in like Dreamcast VMUs or whatever, that little like CR 2032 battery or whatever, so I had to swap that out. Like, when I was older and wiser, I realized it's like literally right there in the back and it's super easy to swap. But as a kid, I had no idea. I was just like, my Saturn won't save, whatever. Let me set the time every time I turn this thing on.
Yeah, we forget it as adults. Like we have expendable income, or a little bit of it, or some of it. But like in kids, you're desperately trying to scrape together whatever you can to get the new game. And like when I bought the PlayStation, I blew all my money on the PlayStation and game. I didn't have a memory card. I'd leave that thing on for weeks because there was no place to save it, and the memory card was $40. It might as well have been $400 for me.
Yeah, when I got the Dreamcast, I mean, memory cards were a foreign concept to me still, because I had played like NES and Genesis mostly, and N64 because my brother had that. But that you didn't have to use the memory pack for N64. It wasn't required. Like,
It's
very
some-
few games.
Yeah, all the ones I was playing apparently.
And
I'd say, yeah, go
So
ahead.
have you guys seen this before?
Oh, that's from
This
the
memory card
controller.
Station.
The
That's
Pocket
a Pocket
Station.
Station.
Yeah.
Raise your chocobo.
Oh, I just
Yeah,
brought mine
sounds
right.
home.
Yeah,
There's
where's
a Tamagotchi and a memory card in 2, right? In 1 or whatever.
Basically, it only worked for a handful of games. Like, there's 2 or 3 games. that the Pocket Station worked with, but it was like trying to be the Sega Dreamcast memory cards, which were super great Pokemon sort of little handheld things, kind of like you could raise a Chow.
Yeah, I was gonna say I raised a lot of chows there.
Yeah, I thought that they integrated that pretty brilliantly.
No, and like Resident Evil was great because it showed you your life bar on your controller. So that was
Oh yeah, and then it worked with Soul Calibur as well. Like it showed like little 8-bit versions of your
Characters.
fighters.
Yeah, they had a couple games that actually had VMU mini games as well. Like Skies of Arcadia, I think, had a VMU mini game. Power Stone had VMU mini games, and you could download these things to it and play it on the go. But the problem was that thing ate batteries like crazy. It would be like, I don't know, you buy a new battery and like literally a month later it's dead, and those were not cheap batteries at the time. They were like $3 batteries or whatever. So as a kid, I was just like, I can't afford this. I don't really care about keeping this battery fresh. So every time I turn on my Dreamcast, I get this ear-shattering screech. And I couldn't turn my Dreamcast on in the morning because that would wake my brother up. And then he'd come out and yell at me or punch me or whatever because I woke him up because my Dreamcast was screeching at me. So I would, have to be very careful about playing Dreamcast. I would have to like muffle it with like a blanket, when I'm turning it on, because it's gonna like, screech at me.
Yeah, I've definitely been there.
So the impression that I'm getting from you guys is that you've basically been like lifelong collectors, right? Especially when it comes to video games.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it definitely like doubled once I met Josh because I always had games and stuff, and I always had really random stuff that I would collect. But then when I met him, it just became like this whole thing.
Oh, you broke up a little bit there.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, it just kind of became like a whole, like a fever almost. Like I just had, because he would be excited, and then I would be excited, and then it just kind of became a thing, and we tried to get games and stuff.
Yeah, you're cutting out a lot, but I remember you weren't the biggest game collector or whatever. You were just kind of like, you would keep your stuff. You were more of like, for the longest time, you were like more of a hoarder of games and movies and whatever. It's like you just didn't get rid of them. But then I think after you started working here, that's when you really started saying like, maybe I should actually like, collect these things and build it up. You had like, you just saved everything. Like you had all your comic books from when you were a kid. You had all your toys from when you were a kid. And you just didn't get rid of stuff. So you were more of like a hoarder of sorts until you got more deep into actual like collecting.
Yeah, I mean, I collected here and there, but it was definitely very like targeted. I didn't collect like.
But I was always a collector. If I could collect something, I would. Pogs, X-Men cards, Pokemon cards, everything. If I could collect Beanie Babies. So I was always like, right on top of the trends. Whatever kids were collecting, I was like right there with them.
Yeah, it's been like on and off for me throughout my life. Like I'll get into like, collecting like Gundam Wings or Transformers or something, and then I'll be like, are my things owning me or am I owning them? And I'll like purge a bunch, and then I'll get more stuff. But now I'm just at a point where like I'm really like I wasn't a retro collector like forever, but then I had a girlfriend and she wanted to play Ocarina of Time, so that's when I discovered Phoenix Games.
Yeah,
and like since then I just kept going back there. I started going to other retro stores and started picking up the things that I really liked or remember that were a little obscure from like my childhood. Like some of the first games I bought were for the NES, and it was like Karnov and like Wrath of the Black Manta.
Yeah.
And this game called, I think it was just called Werewolf. So I'd buy like all of these games that I could remember playing, but it's like hard to come by. And stuff like that. And I prefer to play things on like the original console and stuff like that if I can. Like I think it just like feels.
My collecting habit has just been like something that I think kind of got ingrained in me as a kid, because like, I brought it up a few times, but there were a lot of stuff my parents just wouldn't let me have as a kid. So I grew up and I'm like, now I really want these things, and like then I overcompensate to fill those voids from my childhood. Like I couldn't get Power Rangers toys as a kid because I guess my mom thought I would get too hyper and like punch people or punch my friends or whatever. So like,
Hyper.
you know, I didn't have Power Ranger toys even though I wanted them because they looked awesome.
I mean, we were
but
going
then
to get hyper and punch our friends regardless.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to happen no matter what. It wasn't Power Rangers doing it. But then I grew up and Hasbro starts releasing these 6-inch Power Ranger toys, and I'm like, I'm going to fill that void from my childhood and buy these. And I don't know 98% of the Power Rangers I'm buying because they're not even from like, the original series or whatever, but I'm buying them because I'm filling this like void I had as a kid. And when it came to video games as a kid, I would be able to get like, used games at the video game rental store because, I had like a $1 a week allowance. We didn't get a lot of stuff for free from our parents, and I would have to, figure out what I could actually get away with buying, and the video rental store would have like $3 games or whatever. So I would end up with a lot of like the garbage or whatever that nobody wanted anymore.
You made those games last back then because, like you said, we couldn't get games like we wanted. Because I definitely
That's caused this thing in me where it's like, now I'm like, I'm going to buy all those games I couldn't have as a kid, and I'm like way overcompensating. I have too many games now, and the other things that I collect are also things, just that are special to me from my childhood or whatever. Like one of the things I grabbed to show off, since I haven't showed off anything yet, is that the Sega Channel adapter.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got Sega Channel in my house for a month. I think we got a 1 month free trial. The cable provider in the area sent out these like little scratch cards. And, you got to scratch off one box and it would tell you what your prize was under there. And my parents were hoping like, free cable for a month, but we got free Sega Channel. And like, they were like, shit, whatever. But of course, me and my brother are losing it. So we get it installed and, it's like the best month ever. We got to play Pulseman, Mega Man Wily Wars, like these games that never came out on cartridge. And I was like, boom, just right on the thing and you play it. Awesome.
Dude, so I was, my grandparents lived in Walnut Creek. And that was supposed to be one of the test areas.
Mm-hmm.
And like they said that we were just outside of the border for their test area, even though it was supposed to include it. And I just remember like being like heartbroken as a kid over
And to be
that.
completely honest, I think that the cards they sent out, because I was right near Walnut Creek, I was in Danville. I think the cards that they sent out were all free Sega Channel. I think it was just like, an excuse to install that broadband network, because Sega Channel actually drove a lot of the early like broadband installation and infrastructure. So like, I think it was like there wasn't another prize. Like it was all Sega Channel, which is awesome for me as a kid, but I think the cable provider back then was like TCI or something. I don't know if they exist anymore. I don't remember.
Now you just download it all from the internets to you.
Yep.
Console of choice. Kids these days don't know what it was like to have to be in the area that your local cable provider would hook up.
I had to explain to my doctor the other day what dial-up was. That was weird.
Oh
wow.
Oh
like,
yeah,
I'm that age now.
Oh damn.
Man, that would make me want to punch my doctor.
Was your doctor Doogie Howser? I mean, what was? How old was he?
They were definitely like fresh out of college and all that stuff. It was.
Yeah, I felt old at the movie theater today because I'm buying my popcorn and I'm getting my rewards points, and I pull out my rewards card and I realize my rewards card is older than the kid that's checking me out. Like I got that rewards card when I saw Spider-Man 2. Like that's how old this rewards card is. It's almost 2 decades old.
Yeah.
And I'm handing it to this kid. He's like 16 or whatever. I'm like, God, I'm old. I am old. I have a card in my wallet that's older than this kid. How did this happen?
Oh.
Well, on that cheerful note, time marches forward for us all, and unfortunately, we are out of time. But guys, thank you so much for coming on today. LimitedRunGames.com.
Yep.
Go buy all the things. I just picked up the Shredder's Revenge Collector's Edition for the Switch, as well as the Contra Collector. I'm a huge Contra fan, so yeah, you got me for both collector's editions there. Congratulations. Where can folks find you on socials?
Limited Run Josh on Twitter. That's about the only place where I exist.
And Limited Run Doug on Twitter.
All right. And of course, you can keep it right here at Shacknews for more E6 goodness. Greg, what's up next?
Coming up next is our fighting games community panel hosted by Denny.